All right, everyone. Well, welcome back to Hoop to Holler with Dylan Walrus, aka the B-Ball Study Hall. Dylan, we have a very special guest today. If you would do the honors, sir.
And there he is hydrating too. I love to see that, JT. I'm with you. Cheers over there. He's got the full gallon. Way to say hi. So running background, staying hydrated. This guy can talk hoops with endurance with all of them. This is Justin Termine. So privileged to have you on today. The
Thanks
host
for
of
being with
NBA.
us today, Justin.
Yeah, thank you so much. Host NBA today on SiriusXM Radio and from 4 to 7 Eastern. And great chemistry. I can say that, right? With Eddie Johnson, your teammate in essence. Do you call him your teammate?
I call him my enemy. So yes, we have great chemistry, and I guess it's opposites attract. So
That's Wally and I understand that completely.
Yes,
And then
we do.
also during the playoffs, did Termini Crashes Out YouTube that everybody should subscribe to. Man, it is awesome. It's right after the game. Termini's passionate. He's spitting it out there. There's a great chat going. There's a few regulars that do get in there, JT, that are really knowledgeable and fun to correspond with. And then during the summer league, did a summer league giveaway recently too. But definitely subscribe to that. It's been fun. I wanted to ask you, how is that? Do you enjoy that kind of change from the radio show a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Like I was hesitant to do it. I got a good college buddy who was pushing me in that direction. And I'm always complaining because when I first broke into the industry, I was doing things solo. So it really took me a lot of time to adjust working with Eddie and having a co-host because I would just like, all right, this is what I want to talk about, 3-4 hours. And I would go. And now the YouTube kind of gives me an opportunity to do it without getting interrupted and having to combat somebody else's point. It's just what I think for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it.
And you can see that it preps you well for the actual show. I think that's good too. But there's something sweet about too, that passion right when it's happening and how you feel, and it probably allows you to like get it out a little bit too in a good way. So I hope that keeps rolling. Really enjoyed that.
I think would you agree with me, Justin? It allows you as the host to also bring in that like energy that a fan has. You're gonna play it neutrally, right? But like having that like raw emotion after a big game, like wow, if it was like a buzzer beater or if it was just a complete blowout, like bringing that sort of thing that a normal fan would bring. At the end of
Absolutely.
a
Like
game.
after the game, I think maybe you have a little bit more energy. I try and not lose that like 18 hours after. And I will say this, like I don't try and be neutral. I try and tell you exactly how I feel because
100%.
if you don't do that, then I think, like every journalist, and I say this all the time, they'll go, I'm unbiased. Those are the ones that you don't trust. Everybody's got a bias. You just have to understand
For
where you're
sure.
coming from, right? So like I
Good
have
point.
to acknowledge I came from the Boston area. That's the team I grew up rooting for. Or, I've had a bad interaction with player A, but I've had a positive interaction with player B, so I'm going to root for this guy. I find the issue comes when you don't reveal that type of stuff
Yeah.
and it clouds your judgment. So I just try and be honest with where I'm coming from and how I feel.
I think that's good, and that bleeds through definitely on airwaves and also with your crash out. And that way you can be consistent, right? When you're trying to kind of play this middle ground, it's hard to come back and even remember, well, what did I actually say about this? But because you're authentic and always honest, JT, I think it flows really well. And that's one cool thing you and Eddie are able to do is both come to it with a passion and honesty, respecting each other, but also pushing each other a little bit too. And maybe that helps to kind of like rate to really force you to be vindicated in how you feel about it. I enjoy that as a listener. I think it's really refreshing. I did appreciate one thing recently, JT, when you said the elephant in the room, of course, is LeBron James has made a decision. I'll let Walrus wax on that a little bit. This is his guy. Wally is a Laker guy, but I appreciated your honesty when you said there is no way he was going to walk away without some kind of fanfare or tour. With the message you put out on Twitter saying, I really considered walking away. This could be my last season. I was being honest. I liked your take there, JT. How did you see through that? And will we get eventually, do you think, this season where LeBron's doing kind of a farewell tour? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah. So first of all, we followed this guy for 23 years.
Yeah.
If anything, he loves the spotlight, right? So, and he's welcome to it. Like he's deserving of a farewell tour. I'm not saying that he's not. There's other guys I think that have had farewell tours where you scratch your a little bit. I mean, his former teammate Dwayne Wade. I don't feel like that's a guy where you're sitting in Boston like myself, or I don't know what arena you guys are closest to. Maybe Minnesota for Dylan. I
Denver
don't
for
think
me.
that's where you go. I have to drive to Minnesota to see Dwayne Wade play his final game,
Right.
and I have to make sure that I watch that, and it's a historic moment. Like LeBron is certainly up there with a guy like Kareem, who got a farewell tour, Kobe, who got a farewell tour. So I'm not saying he doesn't deserve one, but with his, for a lack of a better term, narcissism, that LeBron James is taking a farewell tour. And in what was the other question that you had on that?
Yeah, well, it's funny when you were saying that. Do you remember, JT, Udonis Haslam and Dwayne Wade in their last game, like trading baskets? Do you remember that game when it was their last game they were playing? That I have this vivid memory because they were trying to like have Dwayne Wade would take a possession and then Udonis Haslam would take a possession. And that's not his game at all. So it was a really awkward thing. I think that the question is, how do you see this actually playing out? Do we think this is really his last contract, or does he push for this magic 45 number? Could you see this actually going longer? It was what I was saying. And if and when it happens, do you think he will give the full, hey, this is truly it? I'm going to play each city and kind of like a band on tour almost.
Yeah, he's definitely doing that. Like I said, I mean, he's taking a farewell tour. You're going to know about it through at least most of the season, if not the full season. I think Kobe made his announcement halfway through the season, and then played it out. I could still see him going back to Cleveland, to be honest with you, because this is a 2-year deal. I think it's a player option in the second season. So I could see it if it goes bad this year, and I don't think it's going to guarantee to go well. They certainly have the most talent now, the best starting five, probably the most talent he has ever played with at one time. But there's also a lot of egos. There's a lot of guys that need the basketball. I'm sure you've seen like the usage rates floating around. Jaylen Brown last year had the 18th highest usage in the entire
Maxey needs the ball in his hands.
Maxey needs the ball.
Should have it.
Exactly. He should have it. Embiid, to me, if fully healthy, is still probably the most talented guy from game to game and can touch that MVP level. I mean, we saw it in round one against Boston before he completely went backwards. So I think there's still a lot of questions as to whether this can work. If it blows up, all right, well, I think he at least wants to get to 25 years, which would be 2 years from now. And I think he could go back to Cleveland, because that's really the only thing I didn't like about this decision overall, is he didn't owe anything. And Dylan, maybe you heard me say this on the show, I don't think he owed anything to the Miami fans, even though he played there, to the Laker fans, to the Warrior fans, who he was kind of teasing a little bit. Maybe I'll end up there. I do think that he owed something to Cleveland. If he knew he wasn't going to Cleveland right off the bat, then he should have made that clear, or wherever in the process that he kind of crossed Cleveland off. He should have made those fans aware, because I think he played with their emotions a little bit, and that's unfair to the one fan base that kind of had an unconditional love for him. And I don't know how this is going over in Cleveland right now. So I could see him playing 1 year in Philadelphia, then playing his final year in Cleveland, or playing 2 years in Philadelphia, and then maybe his third and final season with the Cavaliers.
You know what that would mean, though, is that the statement he made saying this is my last decision will be a lie. You really think that he's going to go back on that?
Well, I mean, he did lie when he said that. Now, it's not a lie you can prove, but he did lie when he said he was going to retire.
That's what I was going to say.
Season.
When did he say he was going to retire?
That's what he said in his little text, was that I truly considered retirement. This was a hard
Well,
decision.
he considered retiring.
There's no way he considered retire. I mean, did you think so? Knowing his career, Walrus, having seen everything that has played out over the last 23 years, do you think that we would have seen a LeBron James walk away without getting the fanfare of a retirement tour?
Absolutely not. The question, though, is, you got the 2-year deal with the player option, right? So he could walk away after this season. He could walk away whenever he wants, frankly, right? Are we going to see that this year? Seeing as there's that second year contractually, he has to, opt into it. That would be pretty awkward too. But no. I didn't see him retiring without the farewell tour. This is someone who clearly likes to be lauded, and you know what? He's earned that. I mean, the thing for me, and I'm a huge Lakers fan, all right? So I'm glad we're having a very copacetic conversation, you being in Boston over there. I respect the history. It's for me, he's a guy who wants to be appreciated. He should be appreciated. The reason why he's no longer a Los Angeles Laker, in my honest opinion, is because the people in this town ran him out of town. How many people you get calling into the show who are Lakers fans and speak ill of LeBron James. But I got to tell you, man, here on local radio, it just is endless. So I think he wanted to finish his career in a way where he was going to be appreciated. And the people in Philadelphia, if he can somehow, some way pull off a championship there, he'll be a legend. 43-year drought. But no, I didn't think he was going to retire. I thought he was going to Golden State. That's where I thought he was going. I thought he was going to Golden State for Steph, golf, and wine. I thought he wanted to enjoy himself the last year or two of his career, but he clearly wants to win.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I lived out in Los Angeles, fellas, so you don't even need to tell me, like, and local sports talk radio. I would say, like, what I did for a career if I met a random person. And most people were anti-LeBron. I'm a Laker fan, and I'll go back once LeBron leaves.
Crazy.
It was overwhelming. So that's something that just feet on the ground, you could tell. Never mind even with sports talk radio. And then in regards to it ending well, and he wants to be appreciated, like that certainly could happen in Philadelphia if they win and they end that drought where they haven't won since 1983. But it could also turn very quickly because they don't owe him anything. Like he goes back to Cleveland and the team struggles. It's like, all right, well, at least he got us the title there in 2016. He gave us, however many years he played there, 11 years he played in the city. He goes to Philadelphia and it goes south quickly. LeBron's going to get booed in that city.
He'll rip him to shreds.
Like he's done nothing for them. At least he won a championship in Miami.
Hello.
Chaotic close to his career.
Froze you there for a sec, but we got you now, I think, right? Everybody good?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, cool.
So maybe let's expand this a little bit because you now
hold on,
LeBron
Walrus. I gotta push back on you.
All right.
JT's correct. I mean, his quote was, "I thought I was done when the season ended. Pretty sure I played my last game." So he was that, whether you want to call that a lie, a fib, or a mistruth. He was leading on. The other quote I wanted to pull out a little bit was he said he wants to still sacrifice, work, grind, compete to win a championship. Now, this is unprecedented. He's 2.3% of Philly's cap. So the potential bang for your buck of what he can actually produce on the court is unprecedented. But I want to ask you guys, did he actually choose the right team to win a championship? Like if in the end he called it happiness, but then in his tweet he says, I want to win a championship. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Did he pick the correct team, do you think, Justin, and then Walrus?
Well, I had Philadelphia 2 on my list of the 6 teams that he gave at the
You like Denver. You like Denver, correct?
I had Denver number 1 because I just felt like you're playing with Jokic, who outside of last year, which was a freak injury from Spencer Jones, when he leaned back into his leg, he's the healthiest player. He's also still, in my estimation, the best player in the sport. He's the smartest player in the sport, along with LeBron. They're the 2 best passers, so I thought the chemistry there would have been great. Plus, unlike with Embiid, you wouldn't have to worry about the injury. Jokic is, attitude as well. He only cares about winning, whereas, it's a question mark. VJ Edgecombe probably cares about a contract, right?
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown probably cares about individually proving himself, so maybe that could be a chemistry issue. Jamal Murray has been paid, though. Aaron Gordon has been paid in Denver, dealing with some injury issues, but maybe not as substantial as the ones that Embiid has dealt with over the years. So I thought Denver was the best fit, but, once Denver was eliminated, I thought Philadelphia made the most sense, but I also think it has like the highest ceiling, but also the lowest floor. So hopefully he talked to all these guys and everybody is on the same page. It seems like they've talked it over. But again, I think the egos are going to be the Embiid health, and then the egos are going to be the biggest thing that needs to be overcome.
Walrus, what do you think?
It's an interesting question. I mean, you and I, Dylan, we talk all the time. If the real goal was to, put himself in the best position to win a championship, it would have been going to San Antonio and being the Oscar Robertson to Victor Wembanyama's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But that would have been him joining a team that's on the precipice of a championship. I think if he had gone to Denver, Justin, it would have been an incredible combo. But I don't know how much credit he gets if they end up winning that championship. I think he wants to be the guy still. He wants to be the guy who's going to be given the lion's share of the credit. And I think if they win in Philly, he's going to get that. Something that's fascinating for me, though, and I haven't really heard anyone talking about it. In my opinion, I think now you have the 2 most disrespected winners of the Finals MVP award in all of NBA history on the same team. Considering what the Boston Celtics team that I presume you grew up rooting for did with Jaylen Brown, just like an insane failure of managing a situation. And now LeBron being driven out of a town where he resurrected the team. I mean, the Lakers were terrible before LeBron got here. Those 2 guys on the same team, if they can see eye to eye, if they can be on the same page with health permitting, I think that's a pretty amazing combination. And the draw for Philly in terms of like a person, Maxi's with Clutch Sports. like LeBron is. So those two definitely, know each other fairly well. But I think that's why he's in Philadelphia. There were other places he could have gone, I think, for more of a certainty of winning a championship. But that's why I think he's there, because they have a fantastic starting five. They have a shot. But he's going to be the guy, I think, who gets the credit, assuming he plays up to that level, which he's certainly still capable of doing. That's why I think he's there.
Well, a lot to digest there. I think the pushback I have a little bit. So Clutch, you mentioned also Nick Nurse is clutch too, and they did bring in KCP as well. I think there's a little bit of nuance with
Oh,
his
is that
second
right?
year. Yeah, I think
KCP's with Philly?
Yeah, yep, he's
Oh,
coming in
wow.
as well.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
And uh, two thoughts. One, the wrinkle or the nuance I'd like to ask you guys about is ring chasing in the prime of your career. Take KD to the Warriors, team he couldn't beat, then he joins, who was already kind of made. Versus, is this ring chasing in Philly? Does he get dinged for it in his legacy? Does it matter after you're 40 years old? He's already won these titles. He's already built a few different. You can make an argument. He has what, 2 or 3 different Hall of Fame careers built into one. Like if you took off different sections of his career, his Miami days, his Cavs days. Now, I'm not a LeBron guy per se. I do think at this point in his career, could he have not done whatever he wanted? He's going to get killed by people that already don't like him. He's going to get applauded by those that do. Is Philly, you're putting your championship chips on Joel Embiid's health. Now they'll be competitive whether Joel can play or not. But why would you attach yourself to a dude that just isn't on the court at all? That's the piece. That's why I think the Spurs would have been a better choice in terms of winning a championship, because he could have been the piece that was missing in the playoffs where Fox and Barnes failed them. He could have been the leader. Does he care about being the number one, JT? Hasn't he been trying to get that off of his shoulders with Anthony Davis and the Lakers within Luka? He played his best basketball in March when he deferred to Luka and AR and kind of played this tertiary role. Do you think he can do that for Philly? If you're Nick Nurse, how are you going to use him this year if you're pursuing a championship?
Yeah, so a couple of different points here. One, with the San Antonio thing, there were 3 teams. Like, of course, that would be his best chance of winning. Going there, going OKC, going New York. I said there's 3 teams he can't go to where I would be critical of him on the ring chasing front. One is the team that just won the title in New York.
Yep.
The other one is San Antonio, who just went to the finals and has Wembanyama. And then thirdly, Oklahoma City, who I think most people still view as the best team in the NBA. So as long as he wasn't going there, then I wouldn't absolutely crush him. And then as far as like ring chasing, like I don't care what period of your career that you go and do it. I don't necessarily say that it's like, I don't like it. I don't think it's good for the sport. I think it makes it hard to compare to guys from the past who actually built up and attracted guys to their organization and then overcame adversity, right? Where, hey, you lose to this certain team this year and you're the Detroit Pistons, but then you bounce back the next year, you fight through the adversity, you learn how to win, and then it culminates in a championship. So that's the way I like to see it done. That's not the era that we're in, especially with LeBron James, Kevin Durant.
Yep. And he started that era.
He started it. So, that rests with him. And then Durant took it to a completely different level where he joined an all-time great team. So I'm not going to say that I ding him for going to Philadelphia, but I'm not counting the championship the same. And this is criteria that I've had my entire life in following the sport. And I use it specifically for a guy like Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant, because they came in and they didn't win. And I understand Magic won the MVP in his first year and won the maybe 2 as well. He wasn't the best player on those teams, though. That was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Then in the mid-'80s, Magic Johnson took over, was the best player. So Magic gets credit for, of the 5 championships, being the best player on 3 of those title teams. With Kobe, Shaq was the best player on 3 teams. Kobe was the best player on 2 teams, right? Jordan was the best on all 6. Bird was the best on all 3. And I think that's how you have to measure this stuff. LeBron, up to this point, has been the best player on all 4. If they're to win the championship this year, I don't think that he'll be the best player on this team, or he should get credit for that. Now, to your point, Walrus, he might get credit for that because you can make the debate, well, he's better than Embiid because of Embiid's health issues, or he can outplay Jaylen Brown over the course of an entire postseason run, or Tyrese Maxey. So he may be able to get credit for that. I don't think he would have if he went to Denver. It would clearly be Jokic, clearly been Wembanyama. If they did in LA, it clearly would have been Luka. So I see your point on that. But you have to be the best player on a championship team, to me, in order for it to count in the GOAT rankings, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And that's interesting nuance. I haven't heard you say that. It does make me consider a little bit about the Steph era there with Kevin Durant, because part of KD's excellence with the Warriors was that Steph was pulling away and KD could play one-on-one basketball. And you know, with his final MVPs, I'm a Steph guy, so I want to believe Steph might have been the best player on those teams. What do you think there?
Yeah, Steph was. I mean, Eddie and I have this debate all the time. He says it's Kevin Durant, but look what Steph did prior to Durant. Look what
post.
Post Durant. Look what Durant did prior to Steph, what he did post Steph. And, you know, Steph just opens up the games like he does it in a different way. Like LeBron makes guys better. Jokic makes guys better. Those are the two best modern guys in regards to like the pass and their intelligence. But Steph does it with his gravity, right? And like the offense is Steph's offense. Durant existed within Steph's offense and it made it easier for him. So I was the guy that's like, hey, Steph Curry, like the 2005, there's a lot of finals MVPs I don't agree with. I don't agree with the Jaylen Brown Tatum one. I think that's Jason Tatum, right?
Okay.
I don't agree with the Magic Johnson in 1980, even though he had the great game 6. I thought Kareem up to that point had just had an historic series. I thought it should have been Magic's. And I don't, you know, but the 2015 with Stephanie Iguodala is far and away the most pathetic award that's ever been voted on because that was all the result of what Steph was doing. The media completely screwed that one up.
Yeah, I'm glad he got back to get his own in the end to prove that right. You know, I'm glad he got that 4th championship and his finals MVP at that point.
I don't even think, by the way, I think it's ridiculous we even have finals MVPs.
Yeah.
Like it should just be all about winning at that point. You want to make the regular season something where you hand out individual awards. Great. Everybody should be pulling in the same direction come the postseason. And I think that's the issue that we have in the NBA. You really can't do that in the NFL. Everybody needs to do their job. In baseball, everybody needs to do their job. In the NBA, there could be a situation, and I think we saw it like in game 5 with the Celtics with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That might be the best example. They were blowing them out in the second half, and all of a sudden it turned into Jaylen Brown trying to win the MVP, Tatum trying to win the MVP. I just don't like it. I don't think it, like sometimes we'll be covering an NBA Finals, fellas, and instead of talking, like it'll be a 2-1 series, and instead of breaking down what needs to happen in game 4, we're talking about like who would be the MVP at this point, and it should be about who the champion is, not the MVP.
We did that this year, right, JT? I mean, we were anointing Cat at different times, OG, and then Brunson in the end, you know, with how he closed that out. That is interesting that, you know, that there's such a push for this individualization. However, when you look at the hierarchy of how you rank things, these are just like, you know, straws in the hat or feathers in the hat of why this person would be ranked above that person. So I guess it comes back to that, but it should be about winning. I've had a crazy thought. Walrus can push back on. I think you should just decide on who the best player was. You should have a pool of the 4 candidates for the MVP, and the last man standing then in the playoffs gets the award of the MVP for that season. So then it would be winning, and it would also be the best player on that team. Kind of a little radical idea. And I also appreciate, JT, you've talked in the history of the NBA. You don't want to change things because then you have to. It's hard to be able to compare different eras and different players. What do you think a little bit when you're talking about the Celtics, Magic's Lakers, Jordan's Bulls? What do you think about those eras when we had these repeat teams that were always on top, and they had a great supporting cast? You had a lot of phenomenal players, whether it's McHale or Worthy. You know, you go down the list
because you could keep them.
Because you could keep them. Compared to today, we've got parity: 8 championships, 8 years, second apron. You just saw what happened with the Jaylen Brown. There's a whole conversation to be why that happened. If it was dollars, if it was second apron, if it was this divisiveness within the team. Either way,
stupidity.
He is gone. Yeah, perhaps. Either way, he's gone. Do you think this is a healthy thing for the NBA? You know, we all grew up kind of enjoying those teams of the past. I think you cut your teeth on that, I'm sure, as a young, you know, in Connecticut and watching the Celtics. Do you long for that? Do you like what we have now, and where do you see the future going?
Yeah, so I love the parity and the fact that you can get small markets winning. I love the fact that it could be a different team every single year. You head into the season not having a clue who is going to win the championship. You head into the postseason not having a clue who's going to win, because I don't think many people pick the Knicks at the outset of even the postseason, right? When they're down 2-1 to the Hawks, then even more. I mean, Eddie, my co-host, picked Atlanta to win the opening series, right? Yeah. In the past, you would never have a champion that is picked against in the first round, right?
true.
I
Can't think
love
of
that
one.
aspect of it, but I don't like how it's happening, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So I love the fact that we have parity, but I don't like the fact that we have to break up these teams, especially when they're well drafted, because I want to see teams grow together. And I think that's when we get our best basketball. I've always pushed back against, say, the 2017 or 2018 Warriors being the best team of all time. I know a lot of people like to say that because Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, a little bit of depth maybe compared to recent teams. The regular season records, right, with 67 regular season wins. Here's my issue. Your Lakers, Walrus, 1980s, or the Boston Celtics, those teams, especially as they got deeper into the 80s, have been through so many battles together. And you guys know just from playing pickup basketball, if you've got a group of guys that was just put together 5 minutes prior to going out there and they don't know each other, regardless how talented you are,
So
if you
true.
have a group that's known each other for years and is always out there playing pickup, you have a sixth sense of where this guy's going to be on the court. You know what the guy likes, where he likes to pass. So those 80 Celtics, those 80 Lakers, the 90s Bulls, the Pistons there of the 80s who kept getting turned back and back and then finally overcame. Like they've built like an inner strength together, a bond,
Chemistry.
knowing where everybody is going to be on the floor. So I think those teams would all beat the current teams. It was a better brand of basketball, not because they were necessarily more skilled, but because they had been together for so long. And I think that's when you have that, like the Knicks this year haven't been
Yeah.
together long, but they're been together longer than most teams.
Comparatively, right?
And they also like have the
Nova Knicks.
relationship going back to college, so they
Yep.
like each other. So they want to play for each other instead of just being a bunch of mercenaries. So I think all that stuff from like the 80s and 90s leads to better basketball than it does today. But I do like the fact that we do have parity.